What's up, everybody? I'm Caleb Ochoa, also known as NFL Caleb 22, and this is a special edition of betting the NFL, the NFC South. And it's special. Why? Because we got two Panthers fans in the house yeah,
I
to
know,
talk
right? I ain't
about.
alone for once.
Yeah,
Right, Brodny? I know that. I know it's a strange feeling, but we out
Yeah,
there. We
that's right.
exist.
That's right.
absolutely. So there, yeah, so we got Brodny from Lunch Day Hot Day. How you doing, man?
Thank you. Doing well. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming. And obviously, I have my co-host, Derek, also known as DWeezy. What's up, man?
Not much. What's going on with you?
I'm excited. I'm excited because this is all y'all's division, and I'm excited for the peoples because they're gonna get an extra opinion and more information. That's what we always say on this show. More information is gonna make you a better, and that's what you want to do. We're just trying to help you guys out to be betters. And since we're helping you out, if you can help us out by liking and subscribing if you haven't already, and if you want, leave a comment and question. Leave it at the bottom, and we'll get we'll answer it on the question portion, talking about these divisions. But since we'll get into the Panthers talk eventually, but we will start off with the winner of the division. That is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who have the best odds of winning the division, and by far the favorites of any favorite in the
Yeah.
NFL at minus 300. And their over under win total is set at 11 and a half wins. And in the obviously this team that lost in the playoffs last season, they went 12-5, won the division. But in the offseason, they lose their head coach Bruce Arians. They get guard Alex Kappa, safety Jordan Whitehead, tight end OJ Howard, running back Ronald Jones, tight end Rob Gronkowski, defensive end Pierre Paul, and defensive tackle Dominican Sue. But they add Russell Gage, Julio Jones, Akeem Hicks, Keanu Neal, Logan Ryan, and Shaq Mason. In the draft, they take defensive lineman Logan Hall, guard Luke Godecki, and running back Rashad White. Um, a lot of crazy stuff that happened this offseason. One of the craziest things that Tom Brady retires, then he unretires, because he feels like he can make one more run at things. Obviously, Bruce Arians goes to the front office, and they bring in he's the coordinator Todd Bowles. So with all this, and they a lot of roster moves and all that. But with all that said, what do you think about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the 2022 season? We'll start with you, Brodny.
So I think, obviously they're the best team in the division. It's a bad division, right? And they've had a couple of little issues around, like Leonard Fournette showed up a little overweight and out of shape. He said he's dropped about 15 pounds ahead of training camp. Chris Godwin, he tore his ACL pretty late in the season last year, but they're actually, he was just cleared. So it looks like he might be ready for week 1. So we're talking about Tom Brady coming back. The offensive line, I think it's going to be maybe a little bit worse, but still one of the better lines in the league. You've got Leonard Fournette, you got Keyshawn Vaughn, who they drafted previously in I believe the 3rd round. They drafted Rashad White, who's one of the better receiving backs in the draft this year. And then of course, the big two there with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. I gotta say they're going to run away with this division. I think they get at least 5 wins. I think they sweep Carolina and Atlanta. I think they maybe split with New Orleans. But I think it's going to be a pretty easy road for them. I think they'll be resting players towards the end of the year.
All right. DWeezy?
Yeah, I basically mirror a lot of those same thoughts. I would love to sit here and be a homer and be like, yeah, no, Tampa Bay is going to do this. Tom Brady's going to fall apart. Nope, not going to. Can't do it till I see it. Until proven otherwise, he's a robot. He's, some mythical god, an alien from another planet. If Tom Brady was Superman, I would believe it. So that being said, when it comes to this team, there's been, a lot of pieces moving around, but it still seemed to maintain their core. They have dynamic players at multiple positions on both sides of the ball. I think this was one of the rare few instances where you see a team move on from a head coach peacefully and also promote from within and potentially have just as good a head coach taking the reins of the team down the lines. I think Todd Bowles will probably do, I don't want to say exceptional, just given his track history with the Jets, but I think he'll do a good job with what he has there. And, the talent there, 11 and a half games, I think that's a number that this team could easily cover. Like Brodny said, I see them going 5-6, if not 6-6 in their division games. I would almost be shocked if they went 4-6 in those games. So that right there, that gets you halfway to hitting that 12-game win total.
I would do want to say also that I think it's big that they're able to retain Byron Leftwich, who looked like he was going to be a sure thing head coach, and then Jacksonville did Jacksonville things. So now he's back. I think that's going to be big for them as well.
Absolutely, and that's why that's my biggest thing is the coaching. It seemed like just going by reports that Bruce Arians and Tom Brady had a little conflicting ways of how they go about things, and him moving on actually will probably maybe help this team out. Brady's gonna stick with his offense, do his thing. Byron Leftwich and Todd Bowles is gonna take care of that defense like he has been. So I think that bodes well for them. Also, obviously the moves to get Shaq Mason, reunites with Logan Ryan as well. Again, some of his players like he usually likes to, he always likes getting back players he's familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously they have a great receiving core. That definitely helps out a lot. So yeah, like I said, they're the biggest favorites in the NFL to win their division. I think that's just because the division isn't very good. And the conference isn't very good as a whole. I think that's where Vegas sees number at. That's why. So yeah, I would definitely lay that $300 to win $100 because I think this is one of the most for sure bets, to be honest. In terms of who will win the division, and those odds show it. Yeah, and I definitely take the over because they got to 13 last year. Definitely think they can at least get 12 this year.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the 11.5 is definitely low enough for me to take the over, and obviously I have to make them playoffs. So yeah, really like the Bucks in this situation, and I would bet big on them. And so you got the over 11.5 and to win the division, Brodny?
Yes, both definitely.
And you, Derek?
Yeah, I'm definitely in the same boat there.
All right. We'll be moving on to the New Orleans Saints, who came in second place in the NFC South. They went 9-8. They did not make the playoffs last year. They lose Sean Payton. They lose Darren Armstead, Marcus Williams, safety. He's a tackle, Jalen Owens, linebacker Quan Alexander, and safety Jacobs. And they add, obviously, they promote Dennis Allen. They get Tyrann Mathieu, safety Marcus May, receiver Jarvis Landry, quarterback Andy Dalton, and safety Marcus May. I said that twice. I don't know why I said it twice. But in the draft, they take Chris Olave, receiver out of Ohio State. They take Trevor Penning out of Northern Iowa, and they take Alontae Terry, cornerback out of Tennessee. So yeah, again, another team with a lot of big pieces missing. One of the biggest pieces is the head coach, longtime head coach that's won a Super Bowl for this team, been there a long time, and a big staple in the offensive line with Tyrann Armstead. But with all that said, and their odds are at, let me check it right now. They are in second place to win this division at plus 375, and their over/under win total is at 7.5. So those odds, what do you think they'll be doing in the 2020 season, Brodny?
This is a pretty tough one. I think losing Sean Payton, like you said, is a huge deal. Dennis Allen, I don't really have a lot of faith in him as a head coach. I'm trying to look. Bear with me for just a second. I'm looking at his. Okay, yeah. So here it is. Yeah, he was previously a head coach. He went 8-28. So I don't think that was a good hire. But if you look at the team is very, very talented. You've got a great receiving core with Mike Thomas, who's back at practice now. Okay, you want to keep going or wait for him to come back?
You can keep going. I'll give my opinion if he's not back.
Okay. So Mike Thomas is back at practice, one of the better receivers in the league. Jarvis Landry, who I'm not super high on, but he's a rock solid veteran receiver. Chris Olave, who a lot of people had as the top wide receiver in this past draft, and everybody's favorite Taysom Hill looks like he may be starting a tight end over there. So they have the makings of an explosive offense. They obviously had a really good defense last year. They lost some pieces, but they replaced them with arguably better pieces, particularly at safety with Marcus May and Tyrann Mathieu. So I think it's going to come down to Jameis, and if he's really progressed, because he's had that thing where he's got all the talent, but if there's a moment of panic, he kind of just blanks out and just throws it up, right, and turns the ball over quite a bit. So I think if you believe in Jameis, you take the over on the wins. If not, you're going to go under. And I hate to say it, but I think I might go under.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. I have the under. I don't like him because, like you just said, I don't believe in Jameis. I think he makes really bad decisions on the football field and off the football field too. But yeah, I don't like this team. I don't like their head coach. He failed. He failed with the Raiders. He went 8-28 3 seasons with them. Yeah, and then so I don't like Jameis, and I like I said, they do have Michael Thomas and some pieces, but you don't really know what he's going to look like this season. He hasn't been around for like 2 seasons, so I'm not sure. And when it comes to betting, you have to know. I mean, I feel like you got to know what you're going to get.
When you say they got Michael Thomas in a few pieces, is Michael Thomas in one piece yet, or is he still pieces?
Mike's all right, man. He's back at practice. He's okay. I mean,
until somebody makes contact with him.
But maybe they're not going to make contact. All right.
Yeah, but you don't know.
Catch it and get down. Slants all day.
But I like to, when I'm making a bet, I like to know what I'm going to get. I don't know what I'm going to get from him. I don't know if Alvin Kamara will get suspended or not this season from his altercation he had in Vegas in the Pro Bowl. So a lot of question marks. I don't like betting on question marks. I like to know what I'm going to get. That's why I would bet the under, and I really wouldn't honestly give him any chance to win this division because I just think the Buccaneers are going to run away with it. Yeah, but Eric, how do you see the Saints this season?
Oh yeah, I'm right there with y'all with the under. I had it going into this at the book I had. They actually have the number at 8.5, but even at 7.5, I could still see going after the under because I really see the bottom 3 teams in this division beating up on themselves a lot. Plus, given some of the other divisions that they'll be facing throughout the season and the year, just along the schedule, there's a strong likelihood that, kind of like you said, we have division where Tampa Bay finishes double digits, and we might not see another team in the division with 7 wins. That's a possibility here. And so definitely, if the number was 8.5, I'm definitely going with the under. But even if it was at 7.5, I'd still be leaning towards the under because, as y'all both said, they've brought in a lot of good pieces. But I think the real question is going to be, can they utilize those pieces, and do they have the coaching staff to make things work? As you were saying, questions and unreliability is almost a cancer in sports betting, and that's what you want to stay away from. And so, not knowing what you potentially might be getting week to week, especially with a player like Jameis Winston at a position as crucial as the quarterback role, it makes it very challenging to try and say that this team could potentially win north of 7, 8 games and potentially play for a playoff position.
All right. Brodny, your final thoughts and your what you think over and under and chances to win.
Yeah, so like I said, I think it comes down to what you think of the head coach and the quarterback. I mean, the team as a whole is talented, but if you don't trust those guys, and I don't, I'm going under, and yeah, I really don't think they have any shot of winning the division.
All right, Derek.
Yeah, I'm on the under as well, and yeah, I would definitely, as far as the division, it's going to be Tampa.
All right, a lot of agreements for these two teams with all of us, but we'll see if we can agree on. We might have some disagreement on your Carolina Panthers. Last season, they finished last in the NFC South. Obviously, did not make the playoffs. They go 5-12. In the offseason, they lose Son Reddick, Stephon Gilmore, who's a tackle, Daquan Jones, defensive end Morgan Fox, cornerback Rashawn Melvin, center Matt Cardis, quarterback Cam Newton, and cornerback AJ Boye. They add Baker Mayfield, guard Austin Corbett, safety Xavier Woods, Matthew Ioannidis. Linebacker Damian Wilson, receivers Rashard Higgins, and cornerback Chris Freshry. Notable draft picks, they take in round 1 offensive tackle Ike Kwanu from North Carolina State. In third round, they take Matt Corral out of Mississippi. And fourth round, they take linebacker Brandon Smith out of Penn State. So yeah, I mean, last season, things were looking good for like 3 games in. They were 3-0.
Fool's gold.
Christian McCaffrey, was looked pretty good there. Then he got hurt, and some other players got hurt, and then like J.C. Horn, and then kind of all fell apart for you guys. And yeah, obviously you had the bad finish there. You bring in Baker Mayfield from the Browns, but how do you guys see your Carolina Panthers doing this season, Bonnie?
Man,
that says it. That says
it. There's a lot to like in Carolina. I'll say that. Okay, there's a lot of young talent there. I think the O-line is going to be much improved. I'm not sure if I don't know if you mentioned it, but they added Deonta Foreman as well at running back. I think maybe they'll finally lay off of Christian McCaffrey a little bit, give him some rest, and hopefully keep him healthy for the whole season. There's talk about Terrace Marshall, stepping up and being much better than he was as a rookie and all this stuff. They had the young defense, a lot of talent on the young defense and everything. But again, it's one of those situations where it comes down to the coaching staff. Coaching staff are a bunch of clowns, and it comes down to the quarterback, right? And they've got Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, and Matt Corral. And I think that's kind of 3
How dare
versions.
you forget PJ Walker, XFL legend, as Ferris would say.
Unfortunately, PJ not going to be on the team. But I think they've got basically 3 versions of the same guy at quarterback. I'd like to see them just throw Matt Corral out there and see what he's got, and kind of have fun with it. And maybe they catch lightning in a bottle and they go on a run and all this stuff. But it's going to be Baker. He's not going to be great. And I don't see a fairy tale ending in Carolina.
All right, and the odds for them to win this division are at plus 1,000. That's pretty long. Pretty long odds there.
Not happening.
Right.
And their over under win total is at 5.5. So what you got, Derek?
Well, yeah, I definitely agree with a lot of what Brodny said, because the quarterback position, in my opinion, nothing's been solved. The Baker move was a lateral move. There's a lot of question marks within the coaching staff. Personally, I was a little upset to see Hassan Reddick go, because having him paired on the other side with a player like Burns, it did seem like regardless of who was on the other side of the field, just them two alone could disrupt the offensive line and their pass rush alone was getting to the quarterbacks. But also, as you said, we'll see a healthy JC Horn and what he'll potentially add to this team defensively. There aren't as many holes or necessarily question marks. We might see a little more out of Jeremy Chin in a bit of a more traditional safety role, but he's still that guy. He can come play a bigger role down in the box or in a more traditional linebacker position on the field if needed. But yeah, I don't see this team putting up points. As far as the outlook on this team, they got DJ Moore on an extension. I think they have Robbie Anderson for this year and another year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I believe so.
So, and there's also the potential that they might be in a situation where it would mean eating a lot of dead money, but move on from Christian McCaffrey. Depending on how this year goes, I did see something where I don't know the exact specifics, but the short version would be 18 million in dead cap, roughly about that, in the coming off season. So that's something to keep an eye out down the line if somebody's looking to maybe try and. I doubt there would be a trade partner out there, but some sort of scenario where they cut and release him and under the agreement that there's the potential market that a playoff contender might pick him up. I don't think there's an outcome where things work out well as far as Christian McCaffrey. I think best case scenario, he's able to stay healthy, but that might mean he'll be that primary back, but you're talking about 60-70% of the snaps. So if you don't have that number 2 guy to lean on, you're put back in the same situation where you're leaning on Christian McCaffrey even more. And can he stay healthy through that workload? It raises a lot of question marks. And when you don't have a lot of answers behind critical key places within a team, even a number as low as 5.5, 6.5, I'm gonna be going under on that. I was under on this team last year, and it's people thought it was odd, but I sat there and they've corrected some of those reasons, but I don't necessarily believe that it'll translate into wins this year. Hopefully the coaching staff and maybe the owner can get out of the way in the coming years, but I don't know if that's going to happen. So as far as the over under, I'll be going under that 5.5.
All right. Well, I mean, you guys are a little harsh on y'all's team, and
hey, facts be facts. We ain't here to sugarcoat it. Hold up, that's the most important thing. We ain't here to make it sound pretty. Facts be facts. I wish I could have said something like Baker Mayfield makes this team better, but I don't believe he's that type of player.
Yeah, absolutely. But last season, obviously, I was infamously saying that they would win 10 games, and I had to therefore apologize to Brodny and saying that Sam Darnold was going to make a difference on this team. But you know what? I'm gonna.
I can give you a better one. It was a game or two before the Arizona game, and when they brought back Cam, when they signed him, I made a bet with a coworker that they wouldn't win 4 games the rest of the season. Guess who won the bet?
Because you're a hater, Derek. That's why.
Hey, facts be facts. I'm about making money. I love my team. I was at every home game. Okay, I sat through that. I earned the right to be a hater.
No, that is the truth. I'm looking at their schedule, right? Because like I said, there is a lot of talent in Carolina. There's a lot to like on the roster in terms of the team rebuilding. And if you say, hey, Baker Mayfield's a guy who, he's been a quarterback of an 11-win team. He went to the playoffs. He won a playoff game. If the O-line holds up and Baker Mayfield can just be, that 20 to 22 attempt. I'm not going to make a bunch of mistakes, and we can lean on Christian and Chuba and Deonta Foreman. And you get the ball to DJ Moore. Terrace Marshall shows up bigger than he was last year. Maybe you get something out of Tommy Tremble. And they are a good young defense. So like you can really talk yourself into taking the over. And then you look at their schedule and you're like, there's 5 possible wins here. Okay. And you're probably not going to now there's always upsets for sure, right? But you're not going to get all 5 of the possible wins. So even when you get an upset or 2, you're probably going to fall short.
I would like to say that I do see that Seattle game being one of those wins.
That's one of the 5 that I had on there, right? I think they do beat Cleveland week 1. I think Baker balls out and they beat Cleveland. But you got the Giants, right? You've got Atlanta twice and Seattle. I mean, maybe you throw Detroit in there as well. I think Detroit plays a little too tough for them, but maybe you throw Detroit in there and say 6 possible wins.
Yeah, I don't know if we can handle somebody with a kneecap diet.
Right. You're not going to get all 6 of them, so I still got to stay with the under.
Yeah, well, see, that's why I brought you on, Brodny, because you know your team better than the rest of us. Because as an outsider, not being my team, I liked them last year, and you know what? I'm gonna double down. Sometimes when you lose a bet, sometimes you gotta double down and say, go roll the dice again. And you know what? I'm gonna double down. I'm gonna do it again. Because I liked this team last year because I like the moves that they made. I like their roster. I like their defense. I like it again this year. I like for the same reason, like you just said, their defense is really good. I always thought they were good. I mean, they finished 2nd in the league on total defense. And for the same reason you said. When Baker was in Cleveland, when he had the most success is when he could lean on the run game. He had 2 backs there that are really good, and they have to do as much. And if he can do that same with that, but that is depending on whether Christian McCaffrey can stay healthy, and you have Chuba Hubbard over there as well. If he just lean on that run game, lean on that defense, I think he can have similar success, maybe not the same success, and win enough games to hit that over. And that's why I will take the over on the Panthers. And honestly, I got them in the playoffs just because but with the losing record, like at 8-9,
you got Derek's attention is what you got.
Yeah,
I've never seen his
with a losing record, mind you. They're gonna be 8-9 because I'm looking at the NFC as a whole.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it as a whole, and I just can't find too many playoff teams.
You can really make a strong argument for Carolina. Like they look like a team who should be able to get there, right? I mean, Baker was the hot quarterback a couple of years ago. People were talking MVP. I mean, you had Joe Thomas on TV talking about, I can't find a game that the Browns will lose. He said they're going to go 16-0. So, like, I mean,
but Joe Thomas also chose to re-sign with the Browns.
Hey, Joe Thomas made himself a great living, and nobody yells at him. All right.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm not disputing those facts, but I mean, if we're talking about his decision-making skills, he chose to re-sign with the Browns.
Yeah. But, it's a team where you can make that argument and it sounds good. But in Carolina, it never happens.
Well, I'm gonna roll dice anyways, and I'm gonna take them because I like them. But obviously, I don't have them any chance. Even at plus 1,000, that seems like a decent value. But even at those odds, it's just not even worth putting a few dollars on that for them to win the division. So we'll get your final bet, Brodny, over under. What do you got
for Carolina? I'm going under, unfortunately, and again, 0 chance of winning the division. Like, even if I liked them and I thought they were going over, and I thought, hey man, they can challenge for the playoffs, I wouldn't give them any chance to win the division.
There.
Yeah, I'm on the under as well. No shot at the division. And as far as even making the playoffs, I mean, for real question, at a certain point, you got to start asking, do they finish with a better record than the 49ers? Do they finish with a better record than the Cardinals? Because that's potentially a division that puts 3 teams into the playoffs. So you're talking about 2 wild card divisions spots being gone right there. So when you get into the argument of them making the playoffs, even if they do cover this number, I think that's a real reach. But I'm on the under with the Carolina Panthers.
I'll say they break the 5 streak this year, though. They've won 5 games in 3 years in a row. I don't think they're going to hit 5 again.
Oh, you could probably get plus money on that if you can find somebody offering under 4.5. Like that's, I wouldn't be shocked because, I wouldn't be surprised if in most places the under 5.5 is probably around even money, maybe juiced a little bit to being the favorite in the minus 120 to minus 140 range. But you start talking about dropping it a little bit under 4.5. Yeah, you could probably get a little plus money on a number like that. Oh, that's a painful season to watch.
That's just harshness on your team. Be a little more positive.
There's right. 0 back-to-back winning seasons in Carolina. Ever. It's never happened. There's no positivity.
And hold up, I don't want to hear this be positive when the year prior and I was sitting back, this is a bottom 5 team. This team gonna be bad. Oh, they're 3-0. You don't know what you're talking about. They gonna be bad.
Yeah, they were trying to get me in the chat at 3-0. Like, what you think about Sam now? I think he sucks. That's what I think.
That wasn't me, by the way. All right. We'll get to the final team in this division with the longest odds to win the division is the Atlanta Falcons. Their odds are at plus 2,500. Their over/under is set at 4.5. And this team obviously finished third in the division last season. They go 7-10. They did not make playoffs. In the offseason, they lose Lewican, Russell Gage, tight end Hayden Hurst, and Dante Fowler, cornerback Faden Rote, running back Mike Davis, quarterback Matt Ryan, safety Ron Harmon, receiver Tajay Sharp. They add Marcus Mariota, cornerback Casey Hayward, Sven Lorenzo Carter, linebacker Rashawn Evans, to tackle Vincent Taylor, and tight end Anthony. And in the draft, they take in the first round Drake London, receiver out of USC. In the second round they take edge rusher Arnold Ebiketie out of Penn State, and in the third round they take quarterback Desmond Ridder out of Cincinnati. The Atlanta Falcons losing their former MVP quarterback Matt Ryan, who was there for a long time. He made the Super Bowl. I think that's the biggest change in this team. It seems like them by doing that, it looks like this team is in a total rebuild to me. But how do you see it, Brodny, for the 2022 Atlanta Falcons?
So you told me on the last team, be positive. It's not, you're being too harsh. Let's have some optimism here.
Welcome to the Be Positive.
Well, I just want to win the bet.
Of this show.
And this is where you're going to see it. They got rid of their MVP quarterback and they got better because it's Marcus Mariota time. All right,
exactly.
Marcus has not gotten a fair shake. Okay, they made him play through a bunch of injuries in Tennessee. He's got healthy now. He's down there in Atlanta, and look, they don't have a lot of big names on offense, but they have a lot of dynamic pieces. They got Cordero Patterson. They got Kyle Pitts, a great young safety. They got Drake London, one of the top receivers in the draft. They have another rookie, Tyler Algier, who looks like he may end up actually being the starting running back. Now, I'm not super high on Desmond Ridder, but I don't think he'll. If all goes to plan, he won't be out there anyway. I think it's going to be a really fun offense. Defense is a disaster. Defense is a dumpster fire. But there are enough bad teams on this schedule, and they have enough guys on offense who can break the game open that I'm going to say they go over the 4.5. Now, no chance of winning the division. Not going there. But they're going over 4.5.
Yeah, I'm right there in that
All right,
same
there.
boat on Atlanta because, as he said, I think there's more positivity, at least with what's going on in Atlanta. You haven't seen the team routinely year after year turn over the starting quarterback position like they out there gardening. Um, so I think yes, it might have not been the easiest thing for them to move on from a Matt Ryan, but they were able to move on, find a suitable piece that'll probably be a good manager. I think that Mariota, I don't think he's gotten, as Brodny said, a fair shake, but I also think he went to Oakland thinking there may have been a shot at getting the starting position, and Derek Carr ended up becoming what he was and
Turned up.
being under contract there. There was no reason for them to trade him or get rid of him. And so, from the Raiders' perspective, it seemed like a good fit, and him hitting free agency and having a chance to go to a team that actually had a starting quarterback need. Um, I think he'll probably end up being a game manager. Um, and as kind of as Brodny said, they do have a number of different dynamic pieces and things to build off of. And yeah, I'd have to lean to the over a little bit as well. I would not be shocked if it was uh, Atlanta finishing in third place in the division and the Panthers finishing last.
All right. Yeah. Well, we can disagree again because I don't know what the hell you guys are seeing with this team. This team's gonna be a freaking disaster. I mean,
Hey,
they're
be
gonna
positive. Be positive.
this ain't my team, so this team sucks. I mean, I don't see any hope for this. I'm not saying Marcus Mariota is a bad quarterback. He's a decent quarterback, but it's just, I mean, he's got a losing record. He's got a completion percentage in the low 60s. He doesn't score a whole lot of touchdowns either, or a whole lot of yards for that matter.
Hey, Tannehill had a losing record before Derrick Henry too.
Let me ask you this: Who else
I mean,
has
I don't see
completed a
Derrick Henry
touchdown
on the
pass
Atlanta
to
Falcons.
themselves in the playoffs?
That part.
I don't see. I don't see a whole lot of weapons on this team, especially with Calvin Ridley out for the season. Russell Gage is gone. I mean, he's got Kyle Pitts, and that's about it. I mean, he's got no running backs to help him out.
Hey, he's got Brian Edwards. They just brought him in. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Look, I mean, not obviously not a huge name, but I think that's a solid addition.
I mean,
it is.
This people's money, Brodny. Okay, we're not trying to lose the money. We're trying to win.
It's 4 games. Caleb, it's only
at a certain point you're gonna tell them to bet on the Cowboys, so I don't want to hear about telling them not to lose money.
But yeah, I got him under. I got him one of the worst teams in the NFL. Maybe 2 games they get.
Wow.
So definitely
they play the Panthers twice, Caleb.
Yeah, and the Panthers gonna beat them both times.
Okay. Oh wow! Like how the Panthers beat them, we're gonna beat them multiple times last year.
That was Matty Ice. Matty Ice,
yeah.
I'll say this. I'll go even further. Like it's not only is it the over, they're gonna finish second in the division.
I could see that occurring.
I think they can get up to 7 wins.
Yes, I could. No lie, because the Saints under 8.5 is something I've liked because that team could potentially be a 5-6 win team on the season, and somebody, whether it be the Panthers or the Falcons, a 7-win team could potentially be in second place, not New Orleans.
Jesus, this is a bad division. Good God.
Amen to that.
Yeah, no, this is definitely a last place team for me. Like you said, the defense is pretty garbage. They ranked 26 last season. I just don't see anything they have an offense that's going to make a difference for them. They were 29th last season. Yeah, I don't, obviously no chance to win playoffs, even at those long odds. But, hey, that's why we have you guys there. You guys are experts in the NFC South. I'm not. I'm just outside looking in. But what are your final bets, Brodny?
Yeah, for the Falcons, like I said, I'm taking the over. I think they can get up as high as 7. No shot at winning the division. This is Tampa Bay's division all day long. But I think that people are going to be surprised by what they see out of Marcus Mariota. I think you're going to have Kyle Pitts going over 1,000 yards again. He's going to start getting in the end zone regularly. I think they're going to get a lot of big plays out of Drake London. Maybe not 1,000 yards, but I think he's going to be a difference maker in several games for them. And Cordero Patterson, he had a great year last year. For what Cordero Patterson is, he's kind of a gadget player, right? And they kind of put him in that running back spot. Now they may have, if Algier works out and they've got a good solid running back and they can start moving Cordero around, and I think they're gonna surprise some people on offense, man. And I think their schedule is bad enough that they're gonna pull out some wins that you are not expecting.
Derek.
Yeah, I definitely, think this team will be better than a lot of people are saying about them. No, I would not even entertain some talk of winning the division or anything like that. But yes, I do think there is a chance for them to shock a few people and possibly steal a couple wins. There's always the possibility that, as far as division games between the Saints and Panthers, they might get 3 wins out of those 2 teams. 2 is definitely a possibility. So to cover a number like 4.5, I'll definitely be going to the over. And I think something potentially that would be worth looking at down the line, the Falcons versus Tampa Bay. Julio's back in Tampa. That might be a little bit of an interesting game to try and find some angles on.
All right. That's all our bets for the NFC South division, and I'll wrap it up there. We'll move on to our question portion of the show, and I was going to ask you, Brodny, do you have a question about betting? I know you're not really a regular bettor, but if we can answer anything you wanted to know, yeah, go ahead.
So, yeah, I'm not a regular bettor. I like to do it, just kind of. I was gonna say like socially, like a drinker, but that doesn't really apply. So, what I like to do is if there's a big event that I'm interested in watching, like if I'm watching the NBA playoffs or there's a fight card or something like that, I like to go with a parlay. Now, I had my heart broken by Giannis. Okay, Giannis. I was looking for, I think it was 35 plus points, 12 plus rebounds, like I think it was 6 or 7 plus assists and 2 blocks, and he came up the blocks short. Defensive player of the year, can't block anybody's shots. I was very upset. But my question is, if you're gonna go with a parlay, right? What do you think is the best number to limit it to? Like, you don't want to go 10, 12 things in the parlay. So would you say keep it, 3 to 4, or even, where are you looking there?
Yeah, I'll tell you. For my I always do parlays. That's my favorite bet to make. Like I talked about on the last show, I mostly do parlays. For a single game, yeah, I'll keep it to 3 or 4. If I'm betting on multiple games, I can go even anywhere between like 5 and 10. But on just one, if you're just betting one game for multiple things to happen, you're getting longer and longer odds, obviously, for the more things you get. But you make bigger profit. You do make bigger profit. Depending on how much you want to spend. If you're spending a lot of money, then obviously you're gonna want to do maybe 3, right, or 3 or 4 at the most. If you're just betting maybe $5-10, I mean it's not that much to lose. Might as well go 6 or 8.
I always go with the $10. Always go $10 because I'm not real experienced in it or anything like that. When you're talking about going multiple games, are you going with just the money line, or are you? No,
I always the odds? I always do the odds. Okay. The plus or minus whatever points there is, the point spread, obviously. Because I get the parlay cards, and that's what they have. They have the point spreads on there.
But now,
sometimes
just to point out, I was just going to say it is possible, depending on how different sports books do their parlays or have things set up, you can play the money line if that option is available. It just may be his preference to play the spread. But yeah, I just wanted to point that out was all.
If I actually do play the money line when I'm betting off the board, and I'll just take the odds that the current odds that they have at the casino. But otherwise, if I'm betting before, I'll take the point spread on the card. But what would you suggest, Derek, on how to play a parlay?
Yeah, I definitely think if it's a same game parlay where you're talking about, even if it's different player props or game props, sticking in a 2 to 4 range, you'll be able to find good odds regardless of how much of a favorite the prop may be or the way, as far as how you might want to play it. You can easily find 2 leg parlays that still end up being plus 150 that had 2 heavy favorite props on the other side. As you get into that 3 and 4 legs, you do definitely see a little bit of a jump depending on the odds of what you're playing. But getting beyond that 3 and 4 range, of course, if you're just having fun with it, go ahead. But
Yeah.
from a more strategical standpoint, I think you start getting more into just a what if scenario, because with 3 or 4 legs, you could easily say something to the effect of, I see player X scoring 25 plus points and having over 3 made 3-point shots on the game. Or in the NFL, player, X rushing for X amount of yards and their team winning on the money line, and combining that with maybe a touchdown prop or something like that. Uh, but yeah, and when you're talking multiple games, it is a lot easier to get into a more maybe 5, 6, 7 game parlay, because you're just more or less talking about getting the specific winner right, or getting it right by the spread.
Okay.
All right. Hopefully that answers your question. And if anybody else that's watching has a question, please leave it in the comments, and we will feature it on the question portion of the show. So yeah, that's our show. Thanks for coming, Brodny, and you can tell the people where they can find you.
Yeah, again, thank you so much for having me. I had a great time. I'm one half of the Lunch Break Hot Take. You can find us on YouTube, obviously, but Twitter, TikTok, Instagram at LBHT Show. Also, I have another podcast, a boxing podcast called Ring Kings Podcast. You can find us at Ring Kings Pod on all the social medias.
Derek?
Yeah, y'all can catch me at Backyard Action Media, and y'all can also catch me in the Lunch Money Bet segment Wednesdays with Brodny on the Lunch Break Hot Takes. You can also get me at Twitter at DWeatherly90.
All right, and you can find me at NFL Caleb 22 on Instagram and Twitter. You can find my articles that go along with this show on the Let's Get Ready Network.com. And yeah, thanks for watching, and we will see you next time. Peace.